So, this weekend, I got to go and play my lovely, angry wild elf named Aeryn. Some of you saw me getting ready to go and do this thing. Like last stream at the end of last stream, I did like LARP prep, and you saw sort of what I was going to be doing. But so we went to game and got everything set up. We had to set up our camp because we're actually camping out in the woods this game. It was good enough weather that we could camp out in the woods. It was a little bit cold at nights, but that's fine. I had a good sleeping bag, so I managed, and we got some hand warmer things, those things you put in like mittens, whatever. We got some of those and just put them in the bottom of the sleeping bag. Boom, good to go. But yeah, so we had to go up to camp and get our stuff all packed up there. And the trek up to camp is always super annoying when you have like all your stuff, because it's like a path that goes for probably about, I don't know, 500 meters, maybe 600, 700 meters. And then there's a little like, and that's like into the woods, and there's a little fork off that's not really a path, it's more like a little deer trail that leads up to this little campground that's sort of isolated from all the real paths. This is like the only way up there. There's no like big thick path that leads up to this campground. It's just this little deer trail, which is interesting and weird, but that's how you get up there. So in the light, it's fine because you can sort of just like pick your way through, but in the dark, you got to make sure that you're taking measured steps and feeling your way through, because there's no light. We have no torches, no glow sticks, no lanterns, none of that stuff. It's just following your feet and making sure that you don't trip over anything or step off the path into a copse of thorns or whatever. Like, it's super immersive in the dark to head up there when you're in character, but it's tricky and it's a little scary, the woods alone and all that. So it was just me and one other person from the Gen Vespin tribe. It was Sadler, or Brad, playing Colrin. His angry, aggressive, prone to violence wild elf, who he's angry, aggressive, and prone to violence. Like even more so than Aeryn, like willing to go that extra mile and just stab you because fuck you, I don't like your face, or whatever. Like you make any kind of gesture towards him that is anything but very, very friendly, and even those, sometimes the weapon comes up, and it's up to me. It's generally my job to be like, stand back, or like, I don't need a guard right now, or when it gets really bad, probably something like some kind of damage, ego whip, or fucking one normal club around the head or something. This kind of stuff that, like, just don't do those things right now. But I tend not to do that because I don't want to suppress anybody else's character under my own, even though that's kind of how the dynamic is. So game started out fairly slowly. The thing that we were most concerned about at the very beginning of game was that there were a bunch of Furbolg, like players who were playing Furbolg, coming into the game. And Furbolg in the underworld setting are basically cavemen. Like, think cavemen intelligence, strong, cavemen intelligence, strong, beefy, woods people that like live in the woods or in the in the caves or any of that stuff. They're like a bunch of cavemen. They talk like this and have strange word for elf and human they call human poison tongue, cause human always lie. And they call elf sharp ear, or for my elf, stingbug sharp ear, stingbug paint face sharp ear, because we're the wasp tribe. So they call us like, you know, they call us like stingbug paint face, or buzz shaman for me. Which is great. They're, you know, they're great. And Hippie Kicker plays one of them. My roommate was playing one of them. But we were concerned because they were in the woods, and we didn't have our full group. You know, we only had me and Brad, because our other members were busy, you know, with real life things, which is totally fine. But it was only me and Brad, so we didn't want to get overwhelmed by the like 5 furbolg that there were. And if they chose to be like, and we don't like your face, and then we kill you, like that's bad for us. It all ended up being unfounded because we made friends with the furbolg very quickly. Pretty much the first thing that happened when we got into game was this. We walked into town, and someone came running down one of the paths and was like, I don't know what that is back there. This, like, human guy came running down one of the paths and was like, I don't know what that is back there, but I'm not going to take it on alone. You know, like, I'm going to go get help, okay? And we were like, whatever. You know? Whatever. Oh, no, what he said when he came up to us was like, that wasn't you guys back there? Because, like, he thought maybe it was us in the woods or whatever. He's like, that wasn't you guys back there? Whatever that is, I'm not taking it alone. I'm going to go get help. Like, okay. And so we walk over to where he was startled from, and we can see a figure in the dark. It's very dark. It's like midnight when the game is started. It starts at 11:30, and by midnight, people are in game and like going. So there's a figure kneeling in the darkness, and we can hear some sounds, and as we approach, the figure goes, you know, and we look in there, and we see something moving, and it comes out into the light, and we got our weapons, or Brad's got his weapon out, and I'm, you know, I've got magic in my hands, spell packets, ready in case anything happens. But he comes out, and it's a furbolg with a bow and, like, green hair. They're called the Green Mane. With green hair, played by my friend Bobby. And he's holding an entire roast chicken in his hand. And just, like you know those pre-cooked chickens that you get? That you just, like, take out of the big plastic container, and it's just, like, a pre-cooked chicken with, like, seasoning and whatever on it. He's got a whole roast chicken in his fucking hand, and he's like, staring at us, like, sitting on the path, like, just, he goes, who are you? You know, like, Aeryn and Colrin, and he goes, oh, you paint face sharp ear, because it's dark, right? Just, oh, you paint face sharp ear. You go, yes, Jen Vespin. Oh, Stingbug paint face sharp ear. You know, and we say you startled one of the round ears. You ran off like a coward. And he goes, ah, ha, 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 yeah, poison tongue run real fast, you know? And we just, like, we bond over the fact that we think poison tongues are stupid, that humans are dumb, and they do dumb things. And eventually, while he's eating this chicken, he goes, like, you want? And, like, pulls off a leg and, like, hands it to me, and I take it. Pulls off another leg, hands it to Colrin. He's eating it too. Like, it was just this, like, I thought we were gonna have violent confrontations with the furbolg. I was really worried about the idea that, like, maybe it would go poorly for us, you know? And it immediately turned into, like, a friendship. Like, it immediately turned into, like, yes, humans are stupid. Humans are fucking stupid. And you don't have to worry about the furbolg, because as long as you understand them, it's gonna be fine. You know? So we spent a lot of time hanging out with them because it was just easier to like be in a group. And Colin is the perfect Furbolg diplomat. It's true. Like, he's aggressive, violent, prone to anger, but like also just like so savage. Like, he's a savage character, and so he relates very well to like these Furbolg who were kind of a little bit dumb, but also like smart in their own way. Another story of the Furbolg, for example, we'll call this the second story. Another story of us and the Furbolg is that the Furbolg were told by this camp of NPCs, because there was a camp of NPCs nearby that was like a Church of Light camp. Like, they were all the light worshipping guys and like paladins and stuff, like at this camp nearby. They were told by the Church of Light camp that they would pay for orcs.
Vigorously hug them!
The instant look away elf starts streaming and I miss some.
Frostfire, thank you for the 6 months in a row. I should turn off my alerts though during these stories. Sorry. Thank you though. But they're like the paladin camp. So there's like a light camp, and they told the Furbolg that there was a bounty on orcs. And there are a lot of orc PCs in game right now. There are like 4 or 5 orcs like playing, like characters who, you know, pay to play the game playing. And this one orc basically ended up in a fight with the Furbolg the whole weekend. Like, trying to organize people to help him against them and whatever. But there's a bounty on orcs and, like, orc heads and, like, orc skins, you know? So the Furbolg, you know, found the nearest orc and were like, they make trade for your skin, you know? What? You know, like, orc teeth. You're what? Yeah, they make trade. So one of the green men comes up behind him and shoots him with a bow. And this guy is specced out to the nines and like using bows. And it hits him in the back, and the green man calls 20 magic body critical, which is like more health than most things have at like level 9. So like a higher than average player character won't have 20 health. You know? A higher than average player character won't have 20 HP. And it does straight to body because it's an arrow. If he hits him in the back, it's a critical. 20 body critical. And this guy just like, like falls over immediately. And but people are like, hey, what the fuck? And like all these people come in like going like, what are you doing? What the fuck is going on? You know, because like people don't generally just attack people in town for no reason. Like, people don't just like get into combats, but this is a bunch of Furbolg, right? They don't care about the law. They don't care about like the rules or whatever. So they totally just, and I'm standing watching this whole thing. Getting ready to like drop anyone who tries to attack a Furbolg, because nothing will make us more friends than helping them fight people, you know? So they're like, they've got this guy and they're dragging him away. And he's bleeding out. And he's bleeding out in like his bleed count, this player, and they're dragging him over to the camp, right? Where the light worshippers are. And I'm following along with Aeryn. The two of us are following. And they go over to the camp and they put the orc down and they say like, their leader, who's like the shaman kind of guy with like all these bones and like bone hood and like all this stuff, and he's called Bone Taker, you know, like he just takes people's bones. That's his thing. Scary. And he goes, we make trade. We have orc, you give moon metal. Yeah. You give moon metal. You give moon metal arrow. Or moon metal for a shoot, you know? And when they say moon metal, they mean silver. But it took so long for the people to figure out what the fuck moon metal was that, I was trying to translate, basically, you know? Because I'm a wild elf. I don't fucking speak stupid Furbolg, like, tongue. Although by the end of it, you hang out with them enough and you start using their words for things to, like, try and explain it to them. It's, like, contagious. Seriously. I was calling Woodface spirit touched by the end of the game. It's contagious. But anyway, so they're trying to make a trade for some arrows, and the guy in charge is like being a real asshole about it. It's like, oh well, okay, well you have an orc here, but we can't trade with you. And Furbolg are like, well, why not? It's like, well, our trade person is far away. We have to send a message to get the things to trade. We don't have anything to trade. You know? We don't have anything to trade you. And so and so they're like, okay, go get thing. You know, we wait here with Orc. You know? What you want to do with Orc? Or what you want to do with green skin? Cut head? You know? And so they cut his head off. You know, this player. They cut his head off and gave it over. And one of the NPCs went running to go get, you know, weapon tags or whatever, and come back. And they come back with 1 silver arrow! 1 silver arrow for this Orc! Not just Orc NPC, but like Orc player. You know, like there's something to be said for that value-wise. That's a big deal. And come back with 1 silver arrow, and they're like, here. You give him 1 silver arrow, and Bone Taker's looking at it like, this trade? Can't make bad trade. It's bad trade. And I'm standing there getting ready to be like, okay, so we killed them all now, right? Like, this is a bad trade. There's like, I can count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. There's like 5. It's like 5 people in this camp. They've got weapons, but we've got 7 people, like 6 or 7 people. And I was thinking to myself, like, we're just gonna kill them now, right? Like, that's the play, right? And I'm looking to Bone Taker, because this is his trade, you know? Like, I'm not going to attack first, because if I do, then I'm the one who is acting like I'm offended. And it's not my offense to take, it's Bone Taker's offense to take, you know? And he's like, can't make bad trade. Furbolg, not trade with camp anymore, you know? And like walks off, basically. Just like, camp, bad trade forever, you know? Later on, they brought apology items to the Furbolg, like silver maces and iron daggers and stuff, being like, we didn't mean to give you a bad trade, like, it's just some miscommunication with our treasurer, you know, we didn't know the value of the guy that you brought us, like, all that stuff, and they gave him things, and like, smoothed it over later. But there's this huge moment of like, everybody was holding their breath to see what Bone Taker would do in that moment, right? Like, everyone. Just all of the people. So that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool moment. What next? What could I tell you next? What chronologically, when was that? That was like Saturday morning. Yeah, so like Friday night was pretty boring. But Friday night was basically like meeting that Furbolg, eating chicken, and then we went to bed. Like, there was nothing going on. Saturday morning was that trade, and then a band of orcs attacked, like orc NPCs. Probably like an hour after that, a band of orc NPCs came into town, like all raging, attacking the town and what have you. And I love fighting orcs as Aeryn. I love fighting orcs because orcs have a racial weakness, and their racial weakness is that they are weak to mind-affecting magic. So any magic that affects their brain, like if you charm an orc, it becomes a dominate. And the thing about a charm is you can't tell them what to do, but with a dominate, they have to follow your orders to the letter, basically. So orcs, yeah, so orcs are very fun for me to fight because I'm a psionicist, so I have lots of mind magic, and a witch, so I have other mind-affecting magic, though orcs are immune to fear, so, you know. But they're, yeah, they have to follow your orders to the letter if you charm them. So I conjured a psionic blade, which allows me to, instead of throwing packets, hit someone and say, like, spell strike whatever. Like, spell strike sleep, or spell strike charm, or spell strike ego burn. You know, like, whatever. I don't have to throw a packet to cast a spell or incant. I can just spell strike it with this sword. Like, so one spell is to conjure the sword, and then there are 4 spells on it, and it dispels. And then I have to conjure another one, basically. So a bunch of orcs are running towards us, and everybody's like, oh crap, we gotta get help! And like me and Colorin are standing there, like getting ready to fight, and people are, you know, like yelling about, oh, orcs are coming! And like people are, you know, gathering around and coming, or, you know, to different places or whatever. I was just like sitting in the shade. I stood up, there's a bunch of orcs. There's a bunch of orcs. Yeah, the Psionic Blade can also deal damage. I can swing it for 4 magic, then if I spend a spell, 3 magic, spend another spell, 2 magic, so forth. It's a weapon that does damage as well. There's a bunch of orcs. I'm sitting in the shade. I stand up, conjure a Psionic Blade. So I pull the like blue sword out of my belt. They come running towards me like they're going to kill me. And one of them raises his sword real high and goes like, "Prepare to die! 50 slay!" And like brings it down over his head or whatever. You're not prepared, 50 slay. I can never remember the call for slays because I'm not a martial character. He brings it down over his head, and all I have to do is this. Raise the sword and say Spell Strike Charm when his sword hits mine. So, because you can cast it through a weapon, it counts. Spell strikes are amazing. I can hit a weapon or a shield or any part of you, your clothing, it still hits you. And so he brings the sword down on me. He's got his 50 slay, and I'm like, Spell Strike Charm. And he's like, you know, sitting there like, cause he's waiting for an order, you know? And I say, kill yourself. And he turns his big sword on himself and goes like, and just like beats himself down until he's dead. I did this to like 3 other orcs as they came and attacked me. Like, oh no, you're a raging orc. That's a shame. Spell Strike Charm, kill yourself. Spell Strike Charm, kill yourself. And they just all had to stand there and like slit their own throats. Oh, orcs. It's really good. I mean, I could have done, like, Spell Strike Charm, go and fight your friends, you know? Kill that orc. I could have done all that sort of stuff. But I just had them kill themselves. Because people were like, holy fuck, you know? People are standing around, like, fighting these orcs. And then they'd look over and they'd see a bunch of orcs just, like, beating themselves to death. And they'd be like, what the hell? And people would be like, that was her. She did that. Like, she just made them kill themselves. Like, it was great. It's good for my image. It's good for my image as a scary elf lady. It's pretty great. It's pretty cool. Pretty nice. And it's been such a long time since I fought anything that was, like, vulnerable to me. Because undead are immune. Undead are immune to psionics, because it's mind affecting. And undead are immune to fear and other mind affecting magic, so witchcraft doesn't really work on them either, except for, like, race change toad or blindness. What's in that jar? It's Mountain Dew. So I've dealt with, like, whole seasons of things that I'm totally, like, ineffectual against. So it's nice to fight something that, like, makes me feel like a badass. You know? It's nice to fight something that makes me feel like I'm actually effective. The same can be said for Brood, who are, you know, an insect-like race. And the only other thing I fought this weekend... So the 2 things I fought this weekend were orcs and Brood. So orcs are weak to psionics, but Brood are Aeryn's, like, racial hatred. She fucking hates them. Made a mint and bounty. I just picked stuff up off the corpses. Anything that I killed, I looted. Or Colorin looted for me. You know, like, it was one of those things where it was like, people have learned over the course of like LARPing with me for several months with this character, like people who are newer or people who don't really, don't really have any like long-term experience with me. People have learned that like if I kill something, if you touch it, like I'm going to be mad. Cuz it's happened a bunch of times over the course of like playing the game, Someone would start looting something that one of us, Wasp Tribe, Gen Vestman, killed. And then, there'd be a spear in their face being like, don't do that. Don't do that. All that sort of stuff. And now they loot things. People will loot things and give me the loot. Like, that's the presence that I've created. That's the situation that exists. Like, people will loot things, and instead of pocketing the loot and walking away, they come over to me and they, like, present it, like, I picked this up for you from the thing that you murdered. Which is awesome. It's great. It's cool. Yeah. So we fought orcs. In that morning. Saturday was a really slow day. It was a super, super low-key day. It was very, 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 very slow. The whole game was really, really slow. I felt as if, like, there wasn't really much going on. Maybe I just wasn't connected to the stuff that was going on. But I spent a lot of time sort of, like, sleeping in the shade or, taking a walk around town. Looking for instamods, which are like little papers in bags, that give you like mini quests. Like you find a pile of bones and flesh. Do you A, leave it where it is? B, pick up the bones and flesh. They are yours now. Or C, burn it. Like that kind of stuff. That you can find in the woods that like the shapers have put out there. So we did a lot of that on Saturday, and, some of my friends came into town, and I spoke to them about my situation, about witchcraft and stuff. Oh! Here's an important story. Here's an important story. So, I introduced a kobold to my demon patron this game. To those of you who don't know, Aeryn is a witch, which means that she has a contract with the demon most foul. You can only get witchcraft through being in cahoots with a demon. Now, there's a kobold in town. Her name is Kimmy. She is an alchemist. She's an alchemist. Very, 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 very potent alchemist. She just learned how to make chemistry, which is like the best alchemy you can make. Like the top tier special recipe alchemy. And she just eaten what she'd made, which was silly because her mouth was sour the whole game. The basic effects of the chemistry that she made was anybody who drinks it, there's no way they'll ever be able to cast a spell because every time they say a word, sour tastes come in their mouth. And even speaking is difficult. So she was going like, Shaman, Aeryn, it's nice see you. Like she could hardly talk. She could hardly talk the whole game. It was fantastic because she made a thing, but she didn't know what it did, so she drank it to find out, and that's what happened. It was fucking amazing. But she's someone that Aeryn trusts, and someone who the Gen Vestman in general have a very good relationship with. We've had a lot of like contact with her. So she came to me and she said, I mean, she did it in her way, her like short way. She's like, Shaman Aeryn, have blood. Want trade? You know, and I'm like, well, whose blood do you have, Kimmy? I'm interested in blood, of course. But whose blood? Troll blood. You know? Troll blood. Which troll? Moss troll. And this is like a troll that is a player. This is a player character who plays a character called Moss Troll, who is a Moss Troll. You know? He must have at some point been unconscious and Kimmy drained 4 liters of his goddamn blood. And she's trading it to me. So, of course, I'm going to take that trade. I'm going to take that trade all day because blood is exactly the thing that I can trade to my demon for a good deal. Yeah. So, I made a little trade. I got 4 liters of troll blood. And I said, Kimmy, there are things you want in this world, aren't there? She's like, yeah. What's something that you want? What's something that you want? Yeah. She said, more recipes, chemistry, you know, in her way. I said, I can get that for you. She goes, oh. I have someone that can get me anything we want, but we need to pay the price. You know? The price for what we want. Nothing comes for free. She goes, oh, yeah. Let me introduce you. And then maybe we can make a deal on your behalf. Something that will get you what you want. You know, so we agree to bring the blood and speak to my demon contact, you know? And you might be thinking to yourself, Elf, how did you conjure a demon? How did you end up talking? How'd you end up talking to the demon again? Because, like, I thought you made a deal last time. Well, here's how. See, I got my rewards. I got my rewards delivered a little earlier by a lovely little peasant girl. Came to find me in town. She said, I'm looking for the shaman. Are you the shaman? I said, of course. She goes, hi, I need to talk to you. We separated, and she says, like, I have the delivery you ordered. It's in the woods. Come with me. You know, like, and it's this little peasant girl. You know, she's unassuming. She's nice looking, you know, just gentle, human, peasant. And I immediately knew exactly what it was, because it's the only thing it could be. My demon was finally paying me for that 9 liters of high elf blood I gave him the last month. You remember the one. I'm sure. One of the best stories from last month. So we went towards the woods, and she's like, yeah, I hid it in here so that nobody would find it. I thought that was probably the best thing to do. Like, you did well, you know, and we're like walking through the woods. I'm thinking to myself, this is either an unassuming peasant girl who asked a demon for carrots, you know, like good carrots, that season, and has this one small task: deliver this thing to the scary wild elf who is clearly in further than she is. Or this is a very scary person who is in league with a demon and who is here to test me somehow. Those were the 2 thoughts in my head while we walked, just me and her, towards where she'd hidden the reward. So we're walking a little bit down the path, and we get to a point in the path where there's like an uphill slope and like a little path uphill. And she goes, it's up there. You can find it. You can find it. No problem. Just go up there. It's just up there. And I'm like, ooh, trap. Trap, 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 trap. In my brain, I'm like, if I step up that path before she does, she's gonna stab me in the back. Like, that was my thought process. And so I went, is your job not to deliver my reward to me? She goes, yeah. He said, then it would be in your best interest not to renege on your deal. Find me my item. Bring it to me. I'm not going to go searching. You know? And so she, you know, she's like, oh yeah, no, that's all right. Okay. So she goes first and I go after her up the hill. And she goes to this little, like, you know, hollowed out log area and like pulls the little package of stuff out and hands it to me and goes like, that's it. I've done what I said I would do. I'm going to go now. Okay? And I go, what's your name? He says, Persephone. Maybe we'll meet again. Maybe. And then she leaves. And I'm in the woods and I have this bag of things. This very potent bag of things. Now in this bag, there is a magic item. And that magic item is an idol. It's a little skeletal hand on a little stand. Like, they gave me a prop and everything. There's an idol that I can use to contact my demon anytime I wish. Like a telepathic contacting of the demon. Like sending a message. You know? So that's fantastic. And that's what I used to contact my demon. About the 4 liters of troll blood. But also, in this package, not only was there a magic item, but there was a ritual scroll. Rituals are the highest possible level of magic. Like, rituals are the kind of magic that you do around a circle, prepared for, you know, a 20-minute ceremony of stuff that you have to do in, like, a specific order. Rituals are badass. And the ritual scroll that I got was the scroll that would allow me to set up a magic circle for witchcraft, for other witchcraft rituals. And the great thing about this circle is it also allows me to store blood forever. So I can put a unit of blood in the circle, and it will never go bad. So I will always have it. Usually blood goes bad after a month. If you don't spend the blood in the month that you've harvested it, it goes bad. And you can't use it anymore. But if you have a witchcraft circle, you can put that blood in there forever, and you can hold it over someone's head like, well, you may not like me, but I have your blood. You know what I can do with blood? Lots of things. You know, like so much magic. Yeah, so I have the ritual scroll to set that up. I just need to actually do it. Haven't done it yet, but you know, that's the thing. It's the thing I have. It's the thing I can do. I'm very excited about it. It's like a 2 years in the making thing. You know, like, my character is only just strong enough to do this, and she is like a level 12 character, basically. Would someone notice a witchcraft circle is witchcraft on site? No. It's just a rope on the ground to anybody else. Like, you know, physically represented. It's a circle, but you don't know what kind of circle. If you're not a ritual caster, there's no way you could know. If you're not a witchcraft ritual caster, there's no way you could know. But yeah. So, fucking super cool. Anyway, back to the... I know I put a story in the middle of a story there, but we're going to go back to the other one, which is the 4 liters of blood that the kobold gave to me. So we went out into the woods. I went to plot camp and I said, like, we're going to contact a demon. I'm going to need somebody to, like, be the demon, you know, out there in my head. And the shapers were like, oh, yeah, okay. So we got one of the shapers to come with us. We went out into the woods to where nobody would be able to see us. And we knelt down. Me, Aeryn, and Kimmy. We knelt down. I put the idol in front of me. And I started an improvised sort of summoning thing where it was like, Lord Nelostromus, I have brought you an offering that I hope to receive some small tribute for. I spill my own blood in sacrifice to this message. One body, like dagger across the arm and over the idol, and so forth. And then I sort of like bow my head and I say like, if you hear this, contact me so that we may speak. And one of the shapers, or the shaper who was with us, leans down and whispers in my ear and says like, there's a voice that only you can hear. And it starts to speak in a low, deep grumble. I am Belorus, servant to our Lord Nelostromus. And I reply out loud, I'm like, Belorus, you can barter on behalf of our mutual benefactor? Of course. You can buy, and I say, I have brought 4 liters of troll blood, all from the same troll, a very rare creature that could prove a powerful servant if it can be harnessed. What is this worth to our lord? Hard to say. Hard to say. What is it you desire? And I said, Kimmy, and point to the kobold, even though there's nothing around me, there's no demon, there's no voice, I'm just talking to myself, to the other two. Kimmy would like to learn new chemistry recipes. Nothing specific, so you can make your pick. But a new recipe. And he goes, no. For 4 liters of blood? No, it's not worth it. What I can do is I can give you the components for some more mundane alchemy. Rare alchemy, but mundane. I talked to Kimmy and I said, components for alchemy? What do you want? She goes, well, it would be good to have puppet alchemy. Components for puppet alchemy? Maybe. And then Kimmy goes, or anything fun. And the demon voice in my head was like, oh, anything fun. That is much more reasonable. Much more reasonable indeed. And I said, very well then. Anything fun. Components for Kimmy. For anything fun. But I would also enjoy if our Lord might grant me a gesture. Something notable. An item. A small token of power that I might use. For I've brought new people into the fold, new blood to you. I want my cut. This deal is for her, but I want something out of it. I leave it up to you what it is that you grant me. But whatever it is, it need not reveal me. Anything that would out me as a witch is unacceptable. And he goes, the little witch wants a token of power. Something for herself. I like that. Yes. Yes, we'll find you something. Something you can use to bring more people into the fold. Good. Then our business is concluded. He said, I'll speak later. And the voice, like, disappeared. And the Shaper walked away. And, you know, I packed up my idol into its little box, closed the box, locked it, you know, brought it back up to my camp where my stuff is kept. But it was pretty great. It was pretty great. I basically said, like, give me something. Give me something that you think is worth this 4 liters of troll blood. Because in that way, I will have no, there'll be no, what do you call it? There'll be no price for it. You know, like, I've already paid the price. I'm just getting a thing. If that thing turns out to be shitty, then I'll know I have to be more specific as time goes on. But give me a thing is a pretty good statement. Let's be honest. I mean, I'm leaving it fairly open-ended for our demon lord. But I did say not something that would reveal me as a witch. Not something that's going to sense as demonic or is going to get me caught or whatever. Like, I don't want to grow fucking horns and get red skin. You know, like, these are all the things that I don't want. But a token, a gesture. And Kimmy will get her alchemy, hopefully. We never got our reward by the time we left game, but that's okay. I left earlier than, you know, than the game was over, so I'll just get it next game. As I'm sure they remember. And the thing with demons is that when you make a contract with them, they have to keep it. If they agree to it, you know, if they agree to the contract, then they have to keep it. There a fizz rep for the stuff I got this weekend. Do you want to see it? I'll show you. Hang on. Oh. So this is my little lockbox. Okay. This is my little lockbox. It's cool. It's a nice little prop. It's got a level 3 lock on it. Just pull that out there. When you open it up, inside there are a bunch of potions and my skeleton hand. My little idol. Ah! There it is. Little skeleton hand. As you can see, there's a tag on the bottom. You can't see it because it's in green pen, so it green screens out. But it says, communication idol. And the enchantments and flaws are, allows communication with the demon. It expires in May 2018. It's a magic item I have to register. I should do that. And it's signed by a marshal. It's a little skeleton hand. Yeah, you know, just give the demons some of that. But when I got it, curled up inside that hand, is my ritual scroll. Now, ritual scrolls are not like tags. They're big. They're full papers. Yeah. Okay. I can't get an angle here. A Wicked Garden circle. Witchcraft level 1. There's a whole bunch of text on here about like the description of what it'll do, the requirements, and so forth. You want me to read it? I think I've read it before. I didn't have it though. So here's what the ritual does. Because I have it in my hands. I'm going to tell you what it does. This ritual creates a ritual circle that allows the casting of other witchcraft ritual magic with a 50% base chance of success. In addition, anyone invested may preserve 1 unit of a target's blood indefinitely via a 5-minute RP ritual of the investee's choosing. The storage of this blood must be represented in-game by an appropriate container and liquid. Any investee may retrieve any blood stored. Only 1 unit of blood per investee may be stored in this way, and only 1 unit of any target's blood. If the container is destroyed, the blood within is immediately lost. Catalysts required: 1 creation. You need 1 creation catalyst. Duration, 5 days. So it lasts 5 days after you cast it. Is it extendable? Yes. So you can, like, put a permanency on it or, like, extend it so it lasts more than 5 days. In-game ritual requirements. In-game ritual requirements. The primary caster will lay out a rope or vines over what will become the circle's boundaries. Casters will then cut their palms in the center of the circle and spill blood on their Casters will then cut their palms in the center of the circle and spill on their hands. Casters must pick up the rope or vines and walk the boundary of the circle, smearing the rope with their blood as they do. Upon ritual success, the blood is absorbed into the boundary along with the rope or vines. For health and safety purposes, the cutting of hands and smearing of blood should be RP'd, but the blood must be appropriately physically represented. So, like, you use fake blood. You go, like, we invest our life into this circle, and then you put, like, the fake blood all over your hand, and then, you know, you put it around, you know, you hold the rope that represents the circle, and you, like, smear it all along the rope in sort of a ritualistic manner, and then you get your circle. It's great. It's fantastic. It's super cool. That's my ritual scroll. It goes in here with my skeletal hand and a bunch of healing potions. And 1 feeble mind potion. I don't know which one it is, but one of them fuck you up. Yeah. Cool little physical representation, right? Cool little box full of goodies. Well, full of baddies, really. But for me, they're goodies. Because I'm a baddie. Now I have to close it again, which is the hard part. Because it only just fits. What is stopping me this time? Okay, stop. There we go. And then I got a little, you know, thing to keep it closed. Because I can't put a real lock on it because it's not really locked. It's fake locked. So I just use like a little band of plastic and stick it in there. But that's my little like witchcraft box, you know? Yeah. It's cool. I'm a big fan of it. I have to be because it's where all my cool stuff is.